Hey guys, welcome to the Redemption Podcast. Thanks again for joining me. Before I get started, I wanted to take a moment and pause and acknowledge the fact that last week I decided that it wasn't appropriate for me to post last week's episode. I felt like it was going to be out of touch, and I didn't want to miss the opportunity to just share my thought for a brief second. And really what I want to say is that, with all the things going on in the world, the one thing that it pushes me back to is the foundation. I mean, as I grew up, my parents, especially my dad, said, first, put God first in everything you do. And so I want to acknowledge that first, that I'm grateful. And I want to tell you guys, I hope that all of you are doing well. And regardless of, what you are going through or whatever you're thinking, I hope that you are also pursuing God and putting him first. That being said, it says in Matthew's chapter 6, verse 33, that it says, first seek the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all that will be added onto you. And, I want to just say that one of the reasons why I started this podcast is because I really wanted to be the difference, right? But I also knew that this was something I was called to do. And I feel like as being obedient to God and what he's asked me to do. So I just want to say that first of all. And second of all, just at the end of the day, I pray for all of you. And I pray that all of you that are watching this, that you get positive things that provoke you to make the change in your life, for you to redeem yourself. And with that being said, let's get this thing started. Let's crank this up. So first of all, I want to say this. What I did is I actually went for this podcast. I took about 5 questions that I received in my DM. So thank you guys for those that have sent me messages and sent me questions. But I really was like, how can I make this podcast more interactive? So I wanted to let you guys know, those that have sent me questions, thank you again. And what I'm going to do today is I'm going to answer 5 questions that I think are going to have some great conversation here. And I'm going to do my best to drop some nuggets so you guys can walk away with some value. But let's just get this thing started. And I'm going to tell you question number 1. Question number 1 is this. It's funny to me, but question number 1 is, bro, I'm getting older. Is it realistic for me to lose weight and build muscle at the same time? So I'm going to say this, and this one hit me hard because I know my journey and I know where I really turned it on. I was this was like 2017. I've been in the gym, training my entire life. I've obviously being a former athlete. But one of the things I can tell you is that when I started getting into my 30s, I started questioning it, and I see a lot of guys doing that. I got in my 40s. When I got in my 40s, I was like, this is what 40 is supposed to look like. But I was like super determined. But I know a lot of guys are really questioning this, because what you start to feel is like, you feel like that window's closing. You feel like, what you like, one of the things, you're stuck in the past because you're thinking about what you used to look like when you were probably 18, 19, 20, maybe if you played, a college sport, but it was a lot easier for you back then. And I want to say this, like, the best days are still in front of you. That, like, you're not losing out, but something has to change. And I think the biggest thing we have to think about is you need to stop making the excuses that, like, you're getting older and, like, literally walking around using that as a crutch, like constantly talking about, I hear guys that be like, man, I'm getting old, bro. I'm how old are you? Like, I'm 30, I'm 31. I'm like, that's not old, right? And I understand maybe you're tired, maybe things are starting to change, but the reality is, if you think about it, back in the day when we were younger, even from, being, maybe in high school, whatever else, you were more active, right? You had a sport, you had, you had activities, you just were more active. Unfortunately, what happens is, as you get older, you get a job and you get sedentary because you sit down for 8 hours, right? And unless you're working a physical job, that's what happens. And so really the thing I want to say here is that we need to really stop using our age as a crutch and start using it as fuel. I'll tell you right now, for me, I love the fact that people don't know how old I am. They'll assume that I'm in my 30s and, I'm 46 years old. But it's the benefit of having these, commitments to making sure I was taking care of myself. I will tell you this, like, I think being old is a mindset. Like, you can believe that, but you don't have to be that. And that's something I've lived by, because I just think it's really important that you don't tell yourself stories to make yourself be stuck someplace. So with that being said, at 30 and 40, you have to just be more disciplined than you were when you're in your 20s. You can't sit over here and think that you can go out and party, hang out, not sleep, not eat well, and then think that you can just go to the gym and it's all going to work out. You literally have to be committed to this. You really have to make a decision. And that's where we start talking about, how capable is it for you to lose weight, body fat, and build muscle, right? And then on top of that, I think it's really comes down to the fact that, you can do it, But you have to be honest about it. Like, how long did it take to you to get to an unhealthy state, or to a place where you're so frustrated now that you're starting to blame your age? And I will tell you this, in order to change that, in order for you to get yourself on the best track, you got to start thinking about the fact that, like, you need to look about how, if you're working out, if you have a program. 2, I read this thing, it says working out helps you build muscle, but the kitchen determines if it shows up, if anyone can see it. And that's also a discipline. And that's something that you have to build. And disciplines, to me, are things that you create habits around, right? Because you want it to be something that's easy for you. And if you're trying to do these things where you got like these short-term goals and you want to lose weight within the next, 60, 90 days, you can do it. But every time you've probably done that, you've probably started and stopped it, and you fail. So fellas, I'm going to tell you this right now, like 40, 50 years old, 60, whatever the time is, you need to be in the gym lifting weights. But I see all kind of guys in the gym lifting all the time, but they just keep saying, like, I have this issue with food. And it's really, it comes down to stop making excuses and go just as hard on your nutrition like you do when you want to get your bench press up, or you want to, increase your squat, or whatever you're doing. Like, the bottom line is like, you got to put the same energy into all of it. That's what happens. And one of the reasons why you're struggling is because you're just not willing to give it up. It's not a sacrifice. It's a trade-off. So that being said, look, the bottom line is, this is a great question. Again, it's I'm getting older. Is it realistic for me to lose weight and build muscle at my age? And it is. I've done it, and I'll continue to do it. But I can tell you right now, it's really built on the fact that, like, I've been doing it for a long time. Even like my Whoop that I'm carrying right now, I'm wearing it 1,903 days straight. That's called consistency. It's not about, I couldn't do 1,900 days in one, it takes time to do that. And that's the thing you got to start to understand, is it takes time. So I hope you guys like that question. I think that, bottom line is like, if you're asking that question right now, there's some clarity you need to get. And, to be honest with you, if you're struggling and you feel tired, it's even more important for you to not focus on your age, because it's something you're doing or something you're not doing that's creating the problem. And more than likely, if you're in the gym, 4 or 5 days a week, it's probably because you're not eating well, you're not getting good rest, and you're not getting recovery. So that's what it is. All right. So question number 2, and here's the thing. Question number 2 is one I love here. And this question is, can I still train hard? Excuse me, take that back. Question number 2 is, I can still train hard, but I can't lift heavy weights like I used to. Does this mean that I'm getting weaker? So the reason why I love this is because there comes a point as you get older, you're supposed to get smarter, right? There's a point where you're supposed to start thinking about the fact that, like, do I have to try to squat 500 pounds and deadlift a bunch of weight in order for me to reach my goals? Like, I know a lot of dudes that do that, but unless you're doing it for some competition, there's really no point, right? So what I will tell you right now is, I just don't understand the reason why guys think this. And we tie everything that we do, like our strength, to a number. Like, do you bench, 315? Do you bench 405? I hear guys talking about how many times they rep stuff. I get it. Like, come on, bro. Like, I get it. But the point is like, that's not always strength. How much you bench or how much you squat or how much you deadlift isn't the important part. And I think where we start to think about it is like, strength isn't only about what you put on the barbell. It just isn't. It's not. And if for me, I can tell you now is that, I've suffered a bunch of injuries, and I will tell you right now, yeah, the bar is cool. And yes, I can do stuff, but if my mobility is messed up, or if I can't, move the way I want to, I don't feel like an athlete, then you get weak. You lose your mobility. You can forget about it. You don't have condition to, like, walk upstairs or do something like, help a family member move or whatever the case is. If you're not able to do those things, like I just read a thing today that says, if you can do 50 push-ups, you're stronger than 99% of men in this world. That to me is baffling. Like, I get 50 push-ups is a lot, but 99%, is that true? Like, is it true? Like, I really scratch my head. And if that's the case, like, I need to make sure that this gives me more purpose. I'll put it that way, and I think where it comes down to it is it's like, strength is about capabilities, like what you're able to do. And I think the most important part is it's about how much you can lift in life. Like, because again, let's just say, you're hitting these numbers, but what does that really mean? What is that transferring to if you're weak in all the other areas? You may have strength in bench or squat or whatever those exercises, but I put you into a workout with me and you can't make it the next 10 minutes because you can't move. You don't have any conditioning. That's the part that you got to start thinking about. And as we are, thinking about being more mature, getting older, fellas, like, get over it. And I hear guys quit, like, oh man, I don't do any of that. I watch them lift and they're just going through the motions, and I'm like, if you're going to be in here lifting weights, lift something that's challenging. You don't got to go out here and try to max it out, but that's not going to work. So I will just say this, what it means is that you need to shift your training. And what I've done is, I've lowered weight, and I've also really focused on mobility. That's like the key thing right now for me is mobility, is stability and conditioning. That's strength too. So if you're thinking about it, it's like, can you do a full squat? Can you actually, something I know most guys will struggle with is just sitting in your own squat all the way down, ass to grass, right? Sit down and sit in that squat for 60 seconds. By the way, it's one of the best things you can ever do for yourself. But I'm gonna tell you right now, if you can't sit down in a squat for 60 seconds and stand yourself back up and do that, it's not an exercise. Like, just take the time to do it. Not only is it gonna help your back, help your hips, all that kind of stuff, but let's see how you feel. You'll start to feel if your body has a mobility and if you're weak. And if you can't do that, then we got a conversation you and I need to have. That's the part that I think is really important for most men that are struggling. So I will say that as we start to think about this question, one of the things I'll say is that when you think about how you're working out hard, but your body is hurting, it has a lot to do with, number one, your nutrition. I can tell you right now, like, as soon as I started getting processed foods out of my body, dairy was a big one. It was like causing a lot of inflammation. My body stopped being so sore, but also too, when I fueled it right, when I, wasn't like, not when I was started to eat the food that my body needed for it to recover, game changer. Right. And I will tell you this, there's a lot of guys out here fasting. A lot of guys are just eating whatever. And then you're wondering why you ache. It's not just your body. You're not giving your body what it needs. And then at the same time, you're sitting here chasing stuff like you're in high school and you're a grown ass man. That's the stuff that I don't get. And so I just want to keep it real with you. Like, it's time to start thinking about how you can make changes and stop chasing these old numbers. Like, that's the thing that's killing you right now. Like, you keep thinking about the past and you keep thinking about these numbers you want to hit instead of really starting out and thinking about like your longevity and your performance. Like, when you get to a point where you can't bend over and pick something up, like your grandkid or, niece or nephew, whatever, you little kids you got, or you want to run around and play with your kids, that's an issue. And I think real strength isn't about your ego. It's literally about what you are capable of doing. If you have the strength to move a certain way, have the conditioning to do it for a long period of time. If you can only do something with, and if that all that matters to you, I want to move this weight this far, and that's it, cool. But don't sit over here and complain about the fact that you're getting older and you hurt because you're trying to lift the house, but then you're stiffer than hell, right? And so I really want to say, when I really think about this question, again, the question is, I'm getting older. No, excuse me. I can still train hard, but I can't lift heavy like I used to. It doesn't mean I'm getting weaker. No, it doesn't. And I'll be honest with you, like, I can see myself, like, I'm in better shape now at 46 years old than I was 10, 15 years ago. Like, when I was balling and I was playing football and I was young, like, I think it's probably one of the reasons why I have so many injuries, because I lifted like crazy, but that's what I was told to do. I played the game like my life counted on it. My life depended on it. Like, I was trying to do something to save my family, to put my family in a better position. And I sacrificed myself. So I had all these injuries. But I will tell you this, like, there was a time where I felt like there's no way I can train like I used to when I played ball. And there's no way I have time for that. And yeah, I can tell you right now, the worst thing I ever did was I would go to the gym and lift, and I would play like a couple hours of basketball a few days a week. And it was tearing my knees up, and I was atrophying my muscle because I wasn't eating enough. I was like, oh, I'm gonna stop and get Subway. I was like, oh, let me get my protein in. And I wasn't getting enough at all. So fellas, like, listen to me when I say this, like, stop talking about, number one, getting older. Number two, if you're sitting here telling me you can't lift like you used to, like, get smarter. Like, it's not about how much weight you can lose. It's not about the number. It's about how you move and being healthy. Like, trust me on that. So, all right. Anyway, so here's the thing. Before I get to the third question, I thought about these questions and I said to myself, I'm like, how do I give you guys, like, how do I give you really good content, really like provoke you. But at the same time, like as we're talking about this, like it's so easy for me to like see it in my head and hear people, because I constantly get all these questions. And then when I get them in my DM, it's almost like I need to create a place where I can just start having these conversations with multiple guys at the same time. So I'm telling you right now, I'm working on building a community where it's just fellas. You know, and again, like my goal is it's about nutrition, it's about training, it's about mindset, it's about all that stuff, but bringing brothers together, like that's my real biggest thing, because there isn't a space like that. And the reality is like I'm excited about it because I know it's going to be amazing, because you know, not only will I be able to share, but then the community is going to be so dope. Like if I could tell you right now, if I can bring the guys that are around me right now and put them in one room, it's fire, it's straight fire. So I look forward to building that. So stay tuned. I'll be talking about that here in a little bit, but let's move on. I got 5 questions. This is my third one. And here's the thing. The third question says, I feel stuck. I keep trying diets, but nothing works long-term. What am I missing? Well, first of all, you keep trying all kind of diets. That's the problem. And the question goes back is like, why are you trying all these diets? Okay, I understand. No, let me take that back. I know you think that food is the issue, right? And I think a lot of times when people think of diets, they go, man, I got to eat less food. You know, and then some people say they use this is the one. This is the one. They say, oh yeah, I need to eat clean. I don't even know what that means. What is that clean? You wash your food? What does that mean? Maybe it means, and I'm just being sarcastic, but maybe it means you are not eating greasy food, right? You're not eating fatty foods, I guess is what it maybe want to say. I don't know. You know, I don't know. A lot of people will tell me they're eating clean and I don't get that set what they're saying. And then when I ask them, you know, what they're eating, and they'll tell me something and they'll eat like 1 big meal or 2 meals and they're just not eating enough food. And that doesn't help you. I used to say that. I used to think Subway was clean. You know, I was like, oh, let me get the chicken breast, and you know, I get extra chicken, I get the vegetables and some peppers. You know, I just put the oil on it. I got the wheat bread. I'm like, oh, I'm doing it. That was trash. It's not bad. It's not horrible, but it's definitely not. I don't even know last time I even had Subway. So again, I'm no hate on Subway, but the point is like, this is what I thought. And I'm sure a lot of guys think that way. And here's the thing. What I think is like if I had $1 for every time I hear somebody tell me that they're on a diet and it doesn't work long-term, is that because diets weren't created to work long-term. And that's the thing you got to start getting out of your head. I think most men are stuck in the same cycle. They keep trying all these extreme diets, and they're cutting carbs, they're cutting sugar, they're cutting out, they're starving themselves. And then you expect some result, and you expect it in some short period of time. And if you don't see the results, you quit. You see your homie did keto. You see this other guy's carb cycling. You see this other guy doing intermittent fasting, and you're like, going to do the next thing and the next thing. How many guys, by the way, how many of you guys have done 75 hard? I know so many people have done 75 hard. And to be honest with you, it's hard. Working out twice a day, you know, there's some good things in there for your mindset, whatever. But the reality is like, what happens after 75 hard? Most people would be like, damn, I worked out for 75 days hard. I don't want to work out twice a day. It's not good. No hate on Andy Frisella or First Form, because I'm First Form Legionnaire myself. But the bottom line is like, it just doesn't work that way. I've known so many people. I've had people come into my program, and you know, they're just like, 75, I did 75 hard, 75 hard, 75 hard. And I'm like, well, then how did you gain the weight back? Because they were burned out. So I'm just saying again, losing weight for a minute. And this is what I'm talking about. It's like you lose weight for a minute and then you rebound. Again, how many times have you said, oh man, I was doing good, but this happened. I was doing this and that happened. Is because you're trying to do too many extreme things for a short period of time, expecting to get some great results, which I've seen. I've even had people come into my program, you know, and lose a lot of weight really quickly. Of course, it's depending on maybe the size of the person and stuff like that. But, you know, I had people in less than 28 days losing, you know, between 20 to 40 to 50 pounds in those 28 days. We weren't starving. It's just that we just made a complete shift in the nutrition. And it was things for long-term. Like, I think that if you're going to get coached or you're going to do a program, you start working on the long-term problem, not the short-term one. The short-term one is great because you look at immediately what you got going on. But if you start looking at the long-term stuff, that's what's going to make a change. Like people can be like, oh, Zia, I'm going to look like you. I'm like, you don't want to look like me. You just want to have the habits and discipline I have. Because then for you, it's going to be look whatever way you want it to look. You just work your ass off and that's what happens. And so here's what's happening. Is that it's not a quick fix. And I think the biggest thing is that we have to understand we need to build a lifestyle. And you hear people say that, oh, it's a lifestyle. But what does that mean? And if you don't know how to make those changes, that's why you get help. That's why you really take the time and start reframing the way you're looking at stuff. Stop trying to lose the next 30, 40 pounds by doing something extreme and then say you're going to then shift. I hear people say, oh man, I'm going to do a bunch of cardio right now. I'm going to do intermittent fasting. And then once I lose the weight, I'm going to build muscle. And then I never see the build muscle phase. I'm just saying. Okay. So here's what's missing. It's not about your diets. It's about you creating a system that you can live with. And I say that again, like it's something you can live with, something that you can do. If I say, hey, could you see yourself doing this for the next 5 years? No. If the answer is no, then don't do it. If you're like, absolutely, this makes so much sense. This is easy. That's what you do. And you do it for the next 5 years. And what you'll notice is that you start building consistency. That's when your things start to change. That's when you start to see the goals that you have start to pop like this. But because you keep doing it for a short period of time and you keep going like both feet on the gas, with no brakes, you turn around and you burn out and then you stop and start again all the time. And then when it comes to like something going on in your life or a holiday or whatever else, you got all the excuses under the sun. Football season, right? It's football season right now. Guarantee guys are struggling. Hey bro, let's get a beer. Hey bro, let's go watch the game somewhere. What are you eating? Right? Do you have the habits and self-discipline to make sure that you're choosing the right food? Because you can still eat food when you're out, and I'm going to tell you this, we'll get into it, but at some point you got to make some decisions about alcohol. But again, I digress. We'll have another conversation about that one day. So here's the thing. I really think it's the issue is it's not about having perfection, because I'm not perfect. There's nothing. And to be honest with you, I would never get on this pedestal and act like I'm perfect by any means. What I will tell you is that because I made a decision to learn and I was like, I'm going to change my life. I'm going to accomplish the goals I want. I didn't put a time frame on it in terms of like now. What I put a time frame on is that what can I learn? How soon can I learn them? And how can I apply them to my life? How can I change habits this week? How long can I go? How can I create a habit I can get past 30 days, 60 days, 90 days, something that's going to stick with me. Those are the things I started telling myself. But I also took the time to learn, because there's a lot of stuff out there that's confusing and it's going to mislead you. So when it comes down to it, here's the thing. And this is the simple thing, like the trends and stuff like that are going on, like stick with me. I hope that as you guys are coming on this channel and watching this podcast, that you're starting to come here and figure out like what really is, what should I really do? Right. Because if you keep thinking about the fact that you're getting all this information, but you're still stuck, then tell me why you're still stuck. There's no clarity. You have no pathway. You have no system. You have no proven plan. That's what it is. Okay. So this is what I'm going to drop on you. You don't need another diet. And that's not something that I do. I'm not going to put you on a diet. What you need is a code. Like this is something you live by. Right. And I say this to you because it's a framework that rewires your habits and not just your meals. It's something that like your habits have to change. Like I don't have to say this again because when you shift your habits, your whole life shifts. And that whole life shift is where you want to be. Like the redemption we talk about is when that life shifts. Like the redemption is I'm making the decision to do the right things for me that are going to help me long term. And then when you do that and you see your life shift, like you're going to hear people saying, oh my God, like you look great. Oh my God, I seen you've lost how much weight have you lost? Right. And they'll be like, what diet are you on? You're gonna be like, I'm not on a diet, right? You're going to tell them that you made these lifestyle changes and start to tell them the stuff I'm telling you that's working for you. And that's the difference between another failed diet and actually transformation. That's the difference. If you really want to have redemption in your lifestyle, in your health and again, like you might be sitting here taking high blood pressure medicine. Like that scares me because there's so many people that are taking it. And I will say this just for a moment is that I've helped at least in the last like year, probably about 10 or 12 people get off of high blood pressure medicine. And I'm talking about every single person that came to me that had blood pressure medicine, they got off. So I think it's like 13 people. None of them take it anymore. But it's because of the shifts we made. And even like one of the first fellow guys that I did, one of my boys, he had been taking it for 15 years. His doctor he was like, keep taking it. It took me 8 weeks for him to go to his doctor and be like, I think I should come off it. He was testing his blood pressure for 8 weeks, saw that it went down and regulated. The doctor cut his medication in half. By the end of 16 weeks, he was no longer 4 months. He was no longer taking blood pressure medicine. Again, long-term, sustainable things that help you for your health, not just some quick fixes. The doctor was like, whatever you're doing, whoever's helping you, like stick to that, because that's the difference. He doesn't see it happen enough because people don't do the right thing. So that being said, let's move on to question 4. That one was fire for me. I just think that, when we start really thinking about, what's missing is that you're not thinking about long-term. You're always thinking about these quick fixes. So question number 4, I think is I'm gonna be real right now. Okay. Question number 4 is, man, my back and knees hurt. Every time I train, I feel like I'm falling apart. What do I do? And it goes back a little bit to one of the answers I said before, is that I'm just going to keep it real. How many of you guys are still how many of you guys have given up deadlifting? And how many of you have said, I'm no longer going to deadlift? I raised my hand. I think it's been a couple years. Deadlifting for me, I've had some major surgeries, but the main one that made me go, this is not worth it, is that I have herniated disc in my lower back, L4, L5. Okay. And what I will tell you right now is I'm not about to have back surgery. And when I think about it, I'm like, why do I need to do deadlift? I remember I walked by one day, one of the bros at the gym walked by me and he was like, bro, that's my warm up. I was like, I can give a damn. Right. I don't care, because I was sitting here, I was doing it, and there's ways to do it safely. And by the way, deadlifting, as long as you have really good form, and maybe you're not overloading the weight, it's not bad. But I will tell you, there's other stuff you can do, and the benefit of it is higher than the risk you have by doing deadlifts. So if you're doing deadlifts right now and you're stuck on that, and that's a big thing you want to do, kudos to you. Hopefully you have good health, but I will tell you this might be something you might want to start to walk away from, especially if you tell me your body's falling apart. So I will tell you, for me, it's not a weakness. What it's done is I've learned, because of all the stuff that I've taught, the things the education I have, I've learned how to build my body and build strength and do a lot of things without having to do deadlift. And by the way, if I hadn't mentioned it before, I've given up back squat. I literally don't back squat whatsoever. It's one of my favorite exercises. I'm pretty sure training hard, I can go 500 pounds. I was doing, 100 reps. I think I would start out with the first 40, two sets of 225, right? For 20 reps each. So 40. So I had 60 more. Then I did 6 sets of 10 with 315. Now, I'm going to tell you right now, I told you that, don't go do that, because I don't do that anymore. And I did it and it was great, but I can tell you right now, I feel so much better and I still feel strong, and I don't need that, because it's also suppressing my spinal cord. And what's the point of that? That's not doing me any good, especially with my injury. So I will tell you, when I think about this, it's it's not because I didn't have the ability to do it. I have the ability. I actually think I have really good squat form. It's just the fact that I don't want to continue hurting my back, especially with the herniation. And I'm thinking it doesn't make sense for me long-term. That's the point where I'm thinking it's wisdom and maturity. I tell myself this, these are the 2 questions I ask myself. Can I, but should I? And to be honest with you, the second part of it is nah, what good is it? And again, I built my legs even over this last 4 or 5 months, and I haven't squatted since then. I built my legs even better. I have way more range of motion. My legs look better. My quads, my hamstrings, I'm even to a point now, because of my patella tendon surgery where I ruptured my patella tendon, I couldn't run as efficient. I'm starting to run better because I got more range of motion and my knee is stronger. That's the stuff that I'm talking about. And here's the thing. What I did is, instead of trying to force myself and continue to do squats and stuff like that, I built other movements. I focused on hitting things hard, but also making sure that I kept progressing without really wrecking my joints. So I start doing Gobble squats. Again, I do those all the time. Sumo squats, obviously your legs are a little further and it hits different portions of your legs and your glutes. And then I'm doing a lot of like elevated hack squats, which is right now, if I could tell you the exercise that I feel has placed squat and from one of them from squat is the elevated hack squat. And literally I'm elevating my heels on the hack squat on one of those aerobic platforms. And I'm going ham. And I love it because what it's doing is allowing me, again, to build the quads up, get the range of motion in my knees. And I don't have to go crazy heavy. And so the other one I do as well is I do a front loaded split squat. And that one helps me get that knees over toes, really get that that stretch or that mobility over my knees. And again, getting my knees to, because if I'm thinking about it, like I've had 2 major surgeries. I have ACL on my left knee where I've had the meniscus, both meniscus were removed in my LCL. And then I ruptured my patella tendon on my right knee. I had some meniscus and a little bit of my MCL, but rupturing my patella tendon was awful. And I got to think, I'm 46 years old, and I can still do a lot. And most people don't even realize I've had these injuries because at the end of the day, I actually need to think about like, what am I going to do when I'm an old man? I'm not trying to sit over here and can't bend down or pick up anything. That's not what I want to do. And then you say, you guys seen like Ronnie Coleman, like he can barely walk anywhere. I don't want to be that. I'm not lifting as crazy as him, but I've had a lot of injuries. So I also mix in like sled pushes. I do a lot of conditioning work. So it's really, the fact is like, instead of me looking at things where my body's falling apart, I've built my body so that I can do more. And the more that I've taken off lifting crazy heavy weight, that's helped me a lot. So here's the truth. Strength without mobility is you're just buying time. And I've said this, and you'll hear me say this a lot of times, like strength without mobility is just buying time. Like if you can bench press like 4 plates, that's great, right? But you can't put your jacket on or scratch your back. Like what good is it? Like, again, I also see myself get really big and I'm like frustrated because when I put my clothes on, I don't look as athletic as I want to. But the reality is the secret is keeping you in the game is mobility. Mobility is the secret. And if you focus on that, at least for me, I could say this is that, after like the multiple knee surgeries I had, like the mobility and range of motion is like the biggest focus of me right now. It's literally the priority I have right now. And I can tell you, I couldn't be more happy. I'm like, why didn't I not do this more in the past? And instead of doing that, obviously that's my major focus right now. So let me just say this. It's really a mindset shift. And this is the one thing I want to tell you. Lifting heavy is not the goal. Moving well, staying athletic, that stuff right now, that to me, staying in shape, staying sharp, that stuff is the most important stuff. Like that. Again, you can go and lift out the gym, but if you're not healthy, if you don't move well, what good is it? And so that's the goal. And for me, I think it's because, for me, it's like, if you can, let me say this. For me, it's like strength and mobility are the main things that are going to keep me in the game long-term. So what I'm going to tell you fellas, and I'm going to say this directly to you, stop chasing numbers, because if you do that, I'm in the game and you're on the sideline. Right? You're going to be sitting over here talking about your back hurt. I can't do this. I can't do that, because you're sitting over here letting these young dudes or whomever in the gym making you feel like you got to keep lifting all this heavy weight when it's killing you. And it's not because you're weak. It's just that you need to shift. And again, if you did all the mobility stuff and you were excellent at doing that, you probably would feel better, but that's not where you're at now. You got to be smart. You got to start making those changes and get over your ego for real. So 5th and final question. I know this is running a little long, man, but I really wanted to get through these 5 questions. Again, if you guys have questions, I want this to be interactive. I want you to go in the comments. I want you to if you want to send me a DM, obviously you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook. But the bottom line is like, if you have a question, reach out to me, because I think not only do I want to help, but again, you guys remember, I'm going to build this community, and what I'm going to do is continue promoting the fact that like redemption really starts every day. To me, redemption is really about the fact that you made a decision, but it's watching you do the things and overcoming it. And I will tell you, you're more capable than what you think. But the problem is that some of these questions that we're asking, you're stuck and you need to get unstuck. And that's one of the things I want to do with the redemption. I want these podcasts to provoke you. And then the ones where I share stories with other people, I want them to inspire you to start doing things, because you can see what's possible through other people overcoming their own challenges. You might be at the bottom of the hill looking up being like, damn, I got a long way to go. But the reality is what's most important is the next step that you take in front of you. And some people will show you that that's exactly what they did. I did it myself. And I hate the fact when people say, oh, bro, you've never been obese or overweight and this, that, and the other. Like, maybe I haven't been extremely overweight. For me, I didn't like how I looked. Second thing is, I can tell you this, I've had triple hernia surgery. I've had a lot of surgery I had to come back from. And I can tell you the fire that burns inside of me, the thing that keeps me going, the thing that I hear people not have inside of them, I say, if it's not in your heart, and I'm telling you, bro, if it's not in your heart, you're not going to do it. You're not going to overcome it. It's got to be in your heart. It's not anger. It's fire. It's a desire. Because you're capable, but are you willing to do the work? You want to complain. You want to make these, you have these things, but are you willing to do the work? That's the thing. So this last question, this one, I'm hyped right now. So I'm going to tell you this last question is, how do I actually stay consistent? I'll start, then I'll stop and fall off after a few weeks. It's like, I hear this all the time. It's like, consistency. This is the king of all questions. How do I stay consistent? And again, a lot of stuff I said already before is how you stay consistent. But the truth is that most men just don't want to admit that you're not consistent because you don't care. Like, you just don't. And I'm sorry, like, your inconsistency is because you just don't have a system as well. Like, you're trying to do things, you're, following some guy on Instagram, which you could be following me, but you're trying to do those things and you're so stubborn because you're probably, when they do those personality tests, you're probably a dominant. You're probably somebody that has strong belief systems, and it's hard to tell you what to do or for you to ask for help, and you're going to figure it out on your own, but you're stuck, bro. And you're not consistent. You keep trying to do all these things super hard and you keep failing and stopping and starting over again. And you keep beating yourself up. You're probably harder on yourself than anybody else is. And you keep wondering why you keep starting and stopping is because of that. And I'll tell you, one of the things I think that mess up a whole bunch of guys is that you're running off of motivation. And motivation is a damn scam. It's a scam. It's a scam. Like, oh, I need to feel motivated. What happens when you don't? You don't work? I can tell you right now, like, feeling motivated and excited about something is great. But it's a scam because it's going to let you down eventually. It's going to be there one day and it's going to be gone the next. And you're going to be wondering, like, man, I don't feel good, man. I don't feel like it. First of all, that's why I talk about building a habit. A habit is something that just you just do it. Like for me, going to the gym, getting up in the morning, waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning, getting to the gym, working out, doing all the stuff I do. It doesn't feel like it's I got to do a whole bunch of stuff to do it because I've been doing it. It's the same thing. You got to brush your teeth. You got to put your shoes on. You got to put your pants on. There's stuff you do. You don't even think about it. That's what habits are. They're so ingrained in you that it doesn't take a lot of effort. But because you don't have the habit, it feels hard. But the reality is, as soon as you do something and you do it long enough, it becomes easier for you. It's not as, you even find better ways to do it. That's the thing that's so important. But when you think about this, you can't build your body, you can't build a business, and you can't build your marriage off motivation. That last part, trust me, I've been with my wife 16 years. And I will tell you, yeah, I'm motivated. I'm inspired because I love her and I know the purpose. But that's not every day. Every day, the thing for me is focusing on what's important, why, going to God first, aligning myself, setting my mindset. The motivation comes after I've taken action, after I've decided in the day what I'm going to do. And I realize my responsibility. And be honest with you, that's a habit too. To make sure that my wife knows that she's loved. And again, when we go through stuff, we go through just like anybody else. And fellas, you know how it is, okay? So I would say this. One of the things I'm going to say is that when it comes down to what you really need is identity. What I would ask you is, what do you want to be when you look in the mirror? Because if you're looking in the mirror right now and you're disappointed, I want to know, what is that? When you get and you take your shirt off and you look in the mirror, that's the anchor. That's the thing. That's what you need. I mean, it's simple. It's simply to say, what keeps you consistent? It's not the scale that you keep weighing yourself every day, not seeing change, because all the scale does is weigh mass. It doesn't tell you if you lost body fat. It doesn't tell you that your conditioning went up. It doesn't tell you that your resting heart rate dropped. It doesn't tell you any of that. Stop using the scale. The scale is great if you're looking for progress, but it doesn't tell you the whole story. It's just a window, like a little bit, and it's screwing your head up. But if you look in the mirror and you can see that first of all, if you can wear your clothes and they fit better, you see your stomach dropping, you see your face getting thinner because you're doing things consistently over time. That's what changes, and that's your anchor. So the question is, how do I stay consistent? The real question is, when are you going to stop being the man that quits on himself? That's the part I want you to do. Answer that, and you have your consistency. Like, when are you going to stop being the man who quits on himself? I know it's kind of harsh, but it's real. And to be honest with you, like, one of the reasons why I even said I want to create this community, I want to have this podcast, I want to talk to men, is because it's just this. Who do you want to be? What do you need to redeem? Because I guarantee there's people that are counting on you. There are people who are waiting for you to show up. And by the way, I guarantee you're doing some great stuff in your life. Why can't you do that in other places? Why can't you do that in your health? Why can't you have that across the entire board? It's because you keep making the excuses. You keep prioritizing and saying you don't have time or whatever it is, when you really do. You just don't care. Like I said earlier, it's not important to you. But as soon as that doctor tells you, here's this high blood pressure medicine, you got onsets of diabetes, here's the gout medicine, here's all this other stuff. Hey, you're right now you keep gaining this weight, it's going to be a problem. You need to drop 50, 60 pounds. You're looking at yourself going like, it's because it's time for you. And I'm saying this directly to you. It's time for you to stop sitting here and making excuses. Get off the sideline. Stop being on the fence and get in the damn game, fellas. Okay. So with that being said, these questions I pulled from my DM, I will tell you this, there's a lot more. And we'll, find ways to address these things and talk about them. I look forward to building my community, the Redemption community, and I'm excited about that coming. But I will say that the biggest thing right now is what I really want is, if you're listening to this right now and you have something you're struggling with, okay, send me a message, comment it, send them a message in the comments, and let's make this interactive. I will say this, if you listen to this all this way, I really hope that something I said answered questions that you have for yourself. Hopefully how I deliver the information, like, it provokes you to start making some changes. Really what I want is for you to really enjoy coming to this podcast and actually hearing what I have to say and the things I'm talking about, because, I think there's a bigger purpose here, and I really want to make sure that I'm doing that. So this podcast, by the way, isn't just about me talking, right? This is about us building. And really the biggest thing is, it's a brotherhood, it's a movement, and it's a place where men stop making excuses and start taking action. Because this is what this world needs, especially from my comment from earlier. Like, men, we need to step up. And we need to make sure that as we pursue the things that God has called us to do, that we're doing it in a way and we're acting with intention, right? And with purpose. So with that being said, then listen, keep the questions coming. I'll keep bringing the truth, and together we'll redefine what strength is, what health is, and what redemption looks like, what it really means. So guys, I appreciate you. Until next time, stay strong, stay disciplined, and keep building your redemption. Let's go.